Mike Tomlin made it very clear that right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are preparing as if Justin Fields is going to be the starter in week 2 against the Denver Broncos. And while Russ is feeling better today than he's been, they're not certain that he's ready to go, or at least ready to start in week 2 in a revenge game that we have been waiting a long time for. Now, there is a lot to dive into this. We will obviously talk about Mike Tomlin on when Russ is healthy, because that is a massive part of this. But first, I got to say that in my head, this is Mike Tomlin's easiest way to avoid a conflict of situation between his quarterbacks moving forward. This is the easiest way for him to go into week 2 and see if Justin Fields is the guy without making any rash and harsh decisions. And if it doesn't work out, this is the easiest way for him to say week 3, this is Russell Wilson's job. And it always has been Russell Wilson's job. He's just been hurt. And because of that, we have not played him. If Justin Fields plays well in week 2, I'm pretty sure the Steelers are impressed enough and understand the situation enough, because that's the biggest part of this. Is we talked all summer about the Pittsburgh Steelers having the older guy, Russ, who's the more reliable one, and the younger guy, Justin, who could be the future. And what side do you pick? And maybe if they're even, you go with Justin because he does bring you that upside long term, and he could be your starting quarterback for the next 10 years. And I think the Steelers are starting to somewhat come to the realization that, yeah, maybe that is the case. And it's way too early to say Justin's going to be the starter more than week 2 of the 2024 season. But I think the Steelers have it in their heads that they would like to see if there's a possibility that they got something here in this kid. And I would say this is not Russ's calf. If anything, this is Justin Fields earning himself another opportunity in week 2. Do you feel the same, or do you feel different?
I think the one thing that was pretty clear and obvious is Mike Tomlin wants you to believe that that Russell Wilson right now is not healthy, because the one thing that he said definitively is Russ is not healthy. If Russ is healthy, we'll have the discussion. We'll talk about what he had to say. But the one thing he wants you to know is, Russell Wilson is dealing with an injury, and that is why they're going with Justin Fields, at least publicly. That is why they're going with Justin Fields. But I think you're right. I think these are all breadcrumbs to what the Steelers truly want, which is the 25-year-old to take this job and run with it. And they're hoping that if he's given the opportunities, that he's going to be able to prove that he can handle more and more as the season goes on.
Yes.
But it becomes a very difficult situation the longer you wait, because Russell Wilson is not here to let you just leave the breadcrumbs and figure your future out. He's here to win a Super Bowl and revitalize his career. So I think it is an interesting situation. I think the Steelers are more than happy to have a 25-year-old that could be the future in Justin Fields in this organization for this exact reason. But I do think that when you're looking at this week in particular, it is going to be very interesting. Obviously, Russell Wilson not expected to be a full participant tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how much he pushes that as the week goes on.
What's up, guys? It's football season, and we've teamed up with DraftKings. Right now, new customers who bet $5 will receive $250 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, you'll receive 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. It's hard to think of a better way to celebrate fall weather, your favorite jersey, and Sunday touchdowns than with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings app and use our promo code ALLSteelers. That's $250 in bonus bets instantly and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium after betting just $5. Stay in the action and use your $250 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the place to bet touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You could still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook. So what are your expectations in week 2 for this kid? You look at Justin and say, this is the week that he takes some chances. This is the week that we see a little bit more Justin Fields. Or do you look at it and say, Justin Fields' best opportunity to stay the starter is to not lose football games? is to continue doing exactly what he did against Atlanta, and it'll grow more because, I mean, you saw it in the second half. The offense played much better in the second half than it did in the first half. The offense in the second half took some chances. Those chances worked. I mean, they didn't get them in the end zone. They need to get in the end zone, but they worked. And you could guess that a full week of game planning for Justin Fields is going to improve that, and you're going to get more results or better results if you're the offense. But that also kind of opens the door for Justin Fields to do some stuff and to try to take some chances and try and put some points on the board, more points on the board for the offense. That also leads to more risk. Do you think this is the week he opens it up? Or do you think if you're Justin, you play it safe and say, I'm just not going to lose this job?
Yeah, personally, I don't think they're going to go right off of where they left off of in Atlanta, which is by the second half, they opened up the playbook. They allowed him to be a little bit more of Justin Fields, a little bit less of game manager. But I think that they're going to start at a level that is higher than where they started in week one. I think it'll be a little bit more open, but at the same time, I think it'll take less time for Arthur Smith to open it up because I feel like he's going to have a better feel of, in-game action now. Where do we want to go with Justin Fields, especially considering now they're going to have a full week to work and really formulate this game plan to Justin Fields. Whereas last week, they already had the game plan. It was formulated to Russell Wilson. They knew some things they could do with Justin, but they needed to see, where this game took them. Whereas now they can game plan against the Broncos defense that has film on tape with the Steelers offense that has film on tape and formulate everything to fit Justin Fields. I think they'll have it a lot more open than they did at the beginning of week one, but I wouldn't say that they're going to just go off of where they finished off of in the fourth quarter against Atlanta. I do think they're going to be a little reserved early in that game to make sure they have, an understanding of where Justin is on Sunday versus where he was last week, knowing that he wasn't starting until about 2 hours before, 2 days before, whatever the timeline ended up being that we don't know.
Yeah, I actually, speaking of the timeline, I was speaking to some people who were on the field, and they were stunned because all the news was Russ is he's gonna test it before the game, and we'll see what happens before the game. And then he went out there, he was throwing passes. There wasn't a doctor in sight. There was no trainers to be found. There weren't even coaches there with him. It was just Russell Wilson and a couple of pass catchers, and that's it. They were the only people on the field. No, it seemed as if he's going to test it pregame was a Russ thing and not a Steelers thing. And you could take that as you will about whether or not or when we knew everything or whatever. But I agree with you when it comes to Justin Fields in this week. You have to open it up a little bit more, but at the same time, it's only got to be a little bit more. And to be totally honest, it's got to be more on the ground than it is through the air. You're Justin Fields. Run the football. Be athletic. Make some plays. If Justin Fields finishes a game in week 2 against Denver with 2 rushing touchdowns and no throwing touchdowns, I'm okay with it. I think that's a great performance. I think Russ is not the starter in week 3 because Justin did what he needed to do to put some points on the board and get the Pittsburgh Steelers offense rolling. And I think that's the safest way to go about it if you're Justin Fields. Now, he does have fumble issues. He's had fumble issues in the past, but he's also had interception issues in the past. And I don't think either of those were on display in week 1. So hopefully that carries into week 2. But I agree with you. I think the offensive playbook is going to open up much more for Justin now that he gets a full week of practice and an offense that is built for him. Not that it wasn't necessarily adjusted to him, but now built for him. What I anticipate happening is more George Pickens, especially deep George Pickens. I expect a little bit more throws, 20-plus yards. More Pat Freiermuth, especially over the middle, but a lot more Pat Freiermuth. And a little bit more Cordell Patterson, Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren kind of catching the football and seeing what they could do, trying to make some plays. And I also expect a whole ton of Justin Fields running the football by design and moving the pocket and creating some fun ways to run the football. That's what I anticipate.